Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to do how many integers. So basically what you're going to do is be able to add and subtract integers together. Now remember, integers are both positive numbers and negative numbers. Now the difference is today is that you're not going to use a number line, and I'm going to show you how to think about integers a little differently so you don't have to go back to an integer line. So let's look at the very first one. And this very first one, what we've got is -1 plus 3. And what I want you to think about is that you've got one negative, here's one negative, and this indicates that you've got three positives, 1, 2, 3 positives. So now what you want to do is you want to think about, do I have more positives or do I have more negatives? So when you're looking at it, you want to see, well, there's more positives here. So the answer is going to be positive. And then you say, well, how many more positives? Because these cancel each other out. And what's left is 2. So -1 plus 3 is equal to 2. Now, notice something kind of cool here. And that is that if you move these numbers with a sign in front of it, you actually have 3 minus 1. And you may know what that is. That is equal to 2. It's the same numbers. It's like saying 0 plus 3, so that has the plus 3, minus 1 equals 2. But you can also think of it this way. If you have -1 negative, 3 positives, I have more positives, so the answer is going to be positive. How many more positive? 2. Okay? Now, let's get to another one. Here's another one, and we just think the same way. I've got 3 negatives and 4 positives. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 positives, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you have more negatives or more positives? I've got more positives. So the answer is going to be positive. How many more? 1. Okay, let's do the next one. Oh, here you've got 2 positives and 5 negatives. So let's write out the positives. You've got 2 positives, 5 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you have more positives or more negatives? Well, you've got more negatives, so the answer is going to be negative. And how many more negatives? Well, look at this. These are the same. So you only have 3 more negatives, okay? And look, the difference between 2 and 5 is 3. So you know it's negative because that's a larger number. So basically, when you think about how do I get this number, you can go, well, from 2 to 5 is 3 because 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives you 3. And 5 minus 2 is 3, but there's more negatives, so it has to be negative. Let's do another one. I said a lot, so let's go through this a little bit slower and let's see what happens here. You've got 12 positives, so I'm going to say 12 positives and 10 negatives. Do you have more positives or more negatives? So which is a bigger number, the positive or the negative? The positive is. So it's going to be positive. And how many more positives? If you have 10 negatives and 12 positives, 12 is 2 more than 10, so the answer is 2. And in fact, that's the way you can even think about subtraction, because the difference between them 10 to 12 is 2. There's only 2 more for a 12. All right, let's do the next one. You've got 5 positives and 9 negatives, because this negative number goes with a 9. Now, do you have more positives or do you have more negatives? Did you say you have more negatives? Very good. So, the answer is negative. Now, how many more negatives? You have to count from 5 up to 9, and if you're not too sure, what you can do is you can say, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because there's 5, and you've got 1, 2, 3, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Okay, now to get up to 9, you say 6, 7, 8, 9. And notice that's 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the answer is negative 4. There's more negatives, 4 more. 4 more negatives. Okay? Now, negative 25 plus 20. I'm not even going to write down anything underneath. I'm just going to do the answer. Are there more negatives or more positives? More negatives, that's right. So the answer is negative. How many more? There are 5 more negatives. Okay? Now, for some of you, and that's the answer. For some of you, you may also even want to circle the numbers that are negative, so you know what sign goes with the number itself. So let's look back at this one. So for example, in this one, this negative goes with the 10, and the 12 is a positive, all right? In this case, the negative goes with the 9, and the 5 is positive. So if you're a little confused, you can tell right away. The sign goes with the number that follows it. This one goes with this one, so you can tell, all right? And let's go back here and do it for the same thing for these ones. So for the negative here, it goes with the number that follows it, because that's stuck to this guy, okay? And then this one is just 2, so it's positive. And this one, the sign goes the number that follows it, and this one like this. And for this one, you can think of it like this. Some people like to circle this first so you can see that there's 1 negative and 3 positives, and then you can say how many more of either the negatives or positives. Okay, have fun with this one, and don't make it too complicated. Just know that you're going to have something either more or less. Now, you can have one other situation, and this is a tricky one. Let's see if you can get this one. What if you had negative 6 plus 6? You have 6 negatives and 6 positives. Do you have more negatives or more positives? You have the same. And when that happens, you get 0. Now think of it this way. This is like saying, we can put this the other way around. We can move this number over here and move this number with its sign over here. And it's the same as saying 6 minus 6. And what's 6 minus 6? It's 0. Now I'm going to show you other way to think of it. You have 6 negatives, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 positives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And each of these, if there's a positive with a negative, that makes a 0, and 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 a 0. They cancel each other out, which means that you have 0, okay? Because you don't have more positives or more negatives. You can't say which is more. It's actually equal, so that's a 0. And the 0 shows as an equal number. Okay? Take a deep breath. Now go to it and see what you can do in your sheet, okay? Thanks.